Hello and welcome back to another AP3 video, and in today's video we'll be going over SAT math problems, more specifically linear functions. We'll be doing easy, medium, and hard questions that pop up on the SAT math section. So let's start off. The total cost f of x in dollars to lease a car from 36 months from a particular car dealership is given by the function f of x equals 36 plus 1,000, where x is a monthly payment in dollars. What is the total cost to lease a car when the monthly payment is $400? So let me see what I'm given. I'm given that the total cost of f of x is f of x equals 36 plus 1,000. So let me rewrite that in blue. So f of x equals 36x plus 1,000. But I'm also given that x is the monthly payment in dollars. So I'm going to write that in green. So x equals monthly payment. And what are we looking for? What are they asking for? The total cost to lease a car when the monthly payment is $400. So you see, we're given that the monthly payment is $400. So the $400 is x. So what I have to do now is make another equation or function to look for the total cost of the leased car when the monthly payment is $400. So I'm gonna plug in 400 for x, and that'll be my answer. So f of 400 equals 36, and then the x is changed to 400, and then plus 1,000, and I'll give you my answer. So let me make this a little more pretty. For 400. So if I do 36 times 400, I'm going to get 14,400 plus 1,000. And then 14,400 plus 1,000, that equals 15,400. And that is our answer C, being the total value of the leased car when the monthly payment is $400, or when x is $400. Okay, let me do another question. The front of a roller coaster car is at the bottom of a hill and is 15 feet above the ground. If the roller coaster car rises at a constant rate of 8 feet per second, which of the following equations best gives the height in feet of the front of the roller coaster car x seconds after it starts above the hill? So what am I given? I'm given that the roller coaster is at the bottom of the hill and is 15 feet above the ground. So when the hill is at the bottom, the roller coaster is 15 feet above the ground. What I'm also given is that the car rises at a constant rate of 8 feet per second. So this is our slope. So whatever's in green, the 8 feet per, it increases at 8 feet per second. That's our slope. So for every increase in x, we're going to say s per second. So s per second, comma, the roller coaster or the car increases by a rate of 8 feet. So every time s increases by 1, the rate increases 8 feet. So what am I looking for? What is this whole question looking for? They're looking for the equation of h in feet of the front of the roller coaster car x seconds after it starts above the hill. Okay, so if I'm given that it starts at 15 feet above the ground, which is the bottom of the hill, which is at the bottom of the hill, and I'm given that there's a slope or a constant rate of 8 feet per second, I want to look for an equation where it shows me that it starts at 15, and every increase of s of 1, the rate increases by 8. So which one shows me that 15 is by itself? Well, it doesn't show me in B, C, or D, so the answer is A, because when it starts, it's at 15, which is the bottom of the hill and above the ground, and then there's a constant rate of 8 feet per second when s increases by 1. Therefore, my answer is A. Okay, let me do another question. A team of workers has been moving off a cargo ship. The equation below models the approximate number of tons of cargo Y that remains to be removed x hours after the team started working. The graph of this equation in the x and y plane is a line at best. What is the best interpretation of the x-intercept in this context? So, what are they asking for? What is the equation? Well, we're given the equation equals 120 minus 25x. Let me rewrite that. Y equals 120 minus 25x. But what does this equation represent? I'm given the equation represents or approximates the number of tons of cargo Y that remains to be removed X hours after the team started working. So Y is the approximate number of tons of cargo that remains to be removed X hours after the team started working, and X is the amount of hours that the team started working. So what are we looking for? We're looking for the best interpretation of the x-intercept in this context. So what can I do? Well, I need to look for my x-intercept, and what I have to do that is make y equals 0. But how can I do that? Well, let's go over x and y intercept rules. So for x-intercept, like I just talked about right now, I need to make y 0 and then any value of x depending on the situation. For y-intercept, it's vice versa. I make x equals 0 and I have any value of y. In this situation, we're going to be using this over here to look for our value of x. So what can I do? So what can I do is I make y equals 0 and then solve for x to look for the x-intercept. And if I do that, I get 0 equals 120 minus 25x. And now I just solve for x. I can either move the 120 or the minus 25 on the right side, but let's just move the x value. So what can I do? Well, I can add 25x to cancel out x on the right side, and then get positive 25x on the left side. So if I add 25x on both sides, I get 25x equals 120, and the minus 25x and then plus 25x just cancel out, and then I'm just left with 25x plus 120. If I divide them both by 25, I'm left off with x equals 120 divided by 25, or x equals 4.8. Therefore, C and D are incorrect. So I'm going to do that in black. So let me read A and B to determine the best interpretation of the x-intercept. Let's look at B. The team has been moving about 14 or 4.8 hours of cargo per hour. Well, that is incorrect because look, x is the amount of hours that they started working, and every time that x increases by 1, there's a subtraction of 25 tons of cargo. Therefore, B is incorrect because the team has not been moving about 4.8 tons of cargo per hour. They have been moving 25 tons per hour, or which is slope. It's a rate. So B is incorrect. Therefore, my best interpretation is A. The team will have removed all tons of cargo in about 4.8 hours, because if I multiply 4.8 times 25, I get y equals 120 minus 20, minus 120, and I get y equals 0, and there's no more tons of cargo left there, for my answer is A. However, this is a Desmos question. So if I open up Desmos, and I write the equation of y equals 120 minus 25, minus 25x. If I look for the best interpretation of my x-intercept, I get 4.8. Therefore, my answer is A, or it could be A or B if we look at the x value, but the best interpretation of it is A. I made a mistake. This is another easy question, and the one that we did before was a medium question. The question asks the following: the number y is 84 less than number x. Which equation represents the relationship between x and y? Well, all we have to do is understand what we're looking for. So we're given that the number y is 84 less than x. So if I do y equals x, and we're told that y is 84 less than x, so I can write the equation as y equals x minus 84, and that is our answer. Therefore, our answer is D. These type of questions are really easy, but you need to understand the wording so you know how to rewrite the equation. Okay, let's do another medium question. The boiling point of water at a sea level is 212 degrees Fahrenheit. For every 550 feet above sea level, the boiling point of water is lowered by 1 degrees Fahrenheit. Which of the following equations can be used to find the boiling point B in water and Fahrenheit X above the sea level? Okay, so let me read everything that I'm given. I'm given that the boiling point of the seawater is 212 degrees Fahrenheit. And I'm given that for every 550 feet above sea level, the boiling point of water is lowered by 1 degree Fahrenheit. And we're looking for the equation that best can be described to find the boiling point B of water and Fahrenheit or degrees Fahrenheit x above sea level. So I'm given that the boiling point of water is 212 degrees Fahrenheit. That is our y-intercept or our base. So our y-intercept, our y-intercept in this equation is 212 because that is our base. That is the original point of the degrees Fahrenheit because we're given that for every 550 feet above sea level, the boiling point of water is lowered by 1 degrees Fahrenheit. I want to say percentage, but it's degrees Fahrenheit. What does that mean? That means for every increase of 550 feet, the boiling point is lowered by 1 degree Fahrenheit. So every time that we have 550 feet, so for every 550 feet, boiling point decreases by 1 degree Fahrenheit. So I want to look for one of these equations that show me that we have the y-intercept of the base of 212, but why am I saying y-intercept? But we're given that the boiling point is lowered by 1 degree Fahrenheit. But if we have 0 feet of sea level that increases, the boiling point is still 212. That's why I'm able to say that the base or the y-intercept is 212. So let me plug in 0 into a and b and see what I get. If I make x equals 0, I get b equals 500. Therefore, a and b are incorrect. If I do x equals 0, I get b equals 212 for both c and d. Therefore, both of them could be potential answers. But now let me reread the equation. Remember, we're looking for a point that when 550 feet, or every time that it's 550 feet above sea level, the boiling point is lowered by 1 degree Fahrenheit. Let me interpret C. So let me plug in 550. If I do 212 plus x, or 550, divided by 550, I'm going to get 212 plus 1. Well, plus 1, we're not looking for plus 1. We're looking for the boiling point that's being lowered by 1 degree Fahrenheit. Therefore, C is incorrect. So let me do D to confirm that that is our answer. So if I do 212 minus, oops, I'm about to write add, I don't know what I'm doing, minus 550 divided by 550, that equals 212. And 550 divided by 550 equals minus 1. And this goes of the equation that's given. It's being lowered by 1 degree Fahrenheit. Therefore, my answer is B. Because if I do 212 minus 1, I get 211 degrees Fahrenheit. And that is why D is the correct answer. Okay, this question is really easy if you understand what parallel and perpendicular lines are. We went over this in a previous video, but I'm going to reteach it for this specific video. So I'm given the function f of x equals 2x plus 3. For the given function f, the equation of y equals f of x in the xy plane is parallel to line J. What is the slope of line J? I don't need to do any math for this question, honestly. I just gotta understand what parallel lines and perpendicular lines, what is the meaning and why are they different? This is another Desmos question. So I'm gonna rewrite the function. F of x equals 2x plus 3. So let me write what parallel lines are. So parallel lines are when two lines never intersect. They're always increasing, or they're going the same way, never touching. How can I get that? Well, in terms of like lines, I can get two equations that have the same slope or rate of change, vice versa, however you want to call it. So for example, if I have y equals negative 1 plus 1 over 8x, and I have y equals 1 over 8x, they have the same slope. Therefore, they're both increasing by the same rate. They're both increasing by the same amount. So they're never going to touch. However, if I have, for example, I'm going to do this in red, y equals 5x and y equals x, they have different slopes. Therefore, they intersect exactly 1 point. So when they have different slopes, intersects 1 point. When they have two of the same slopes, they intersect at 0 points. So perpendiculars should intersect at one point, which is true, but there's a little twist into it. For perpendicular lines, so I'm right here. So perpendicular lines is when two lines make a 90-degree angle. And this is important for geometry, but that is like a different video explanation or like detail. For this specific video, you just gotta know that perpendicular lines are two lines that intersect each other that makes like a 90-degree angle, or an x or an addition, depending how you want to see it. So how does that mean in slope? Well, we're gonna have two slopes that are reciprocal. Reciprocal. So what does that mean? When two slopes are reciprocal, the signs are opposite and the fractions are opposite. So for example, if I have y equals, let's say, -1/4x plus 10, and I have another line that's y equals 4x plus 6, the slopes are perpendicular because they're reciprocal, meaning that the signs are opposite and that the fractions are opposite. So in this case, we're looking for two lines that are parallel with line J. What is the slope of line J? Well, if I understand that the line of f of x and line J are parallel, it's just the same slope. So the slope of J is just 2x, and the value of the answer is 2. So 2 is the answer of slope. And I can solve that by using Desmos. This is a Desmos question, like I said. If I were to plug in, let me erase this. If I were to plug in 2x plus 3, and I plug in a second equation, let's say, for example, 2x plus, let's do minus 20. You see, they're both parallel lines because they never intersect at whatever point. Let me zoom out even more. You see, they never intersect. They always go up and down the same rate. Therefore, the slope is 2 for it to never intersect. Okay, let's do another question. According to the model, the head width in milliliters of a working bumblebee can be estimated by adding 0.6 to 4 times the body weight of the bee in grams. According to the model, what would be the head width in milliliters of a working bee that has a body weight of 0.5 grams? So what are we looking for? We're looking for the head, oops, this is not highlighted. We are looking for the head width in milliliters of a working bumblebee. So let me dissect every single information that's given to understand or know how to get the width of the working bumblebee. I'm given that the bumblebee has a body weight of 0.5 grams. What I'm also given is that we can estimate the head width of the bumblebee by adding 0.6 to 4 times the body weight of the bumblebee in grams. So we're given that 0.6 is added to 0.4 or 4 times the body weight of the bumblebee. So the head width, well, I can't even spell it today. The head width can be founded, or head width equals, in this case, let me erase this really quickly, So head width equals 0.6 adding to 4 times the body weight. Well, the body weight is 0.5. So I do 0.6 plus 4 multiplied by 0.5, and this will give me the width of the bumblebee's working head, which equals 0.6 plus 4 times 0.5 equals 2, and 0.6 plus 2 equals 2.6, and this is the width of the working bumblebee's head. Okay, let's do hard problems now. So, an economist modeled the demand in Q for a certain product as a linear function of the selling price P. The demand was 20,000 units when the selling price was $40 per unit, and the demand was 15,000 units when the selling price was $60 per unit. Based on the model, was the demand in units when the selling price is $55 per unit. Okay, so let me digest every information that's given. We're looking for the selling price, or we're looking for the demand when the selling price is $55. And given that there's a demand of 20,000 units when the selling price is $40, and there's a second demand of 15,000 units when it's $60 per unit. So what we can think about is that look at our x values. It's increasing. That could be our x value. So the dollar signs equal x, and then the demands can be our y's. And we can see the demands are decreasing. So what can we do? Well, because this x is increasing and y is decreasing, we can look for the rate of change or slope to figure out how much of the demand is decreasing when x is increasing. And we can do that using the slope formula, which we went over right now, which is y2 minus y1, and then x2 minus x1. So I have 2 points. If we look at it as the x and y plane, I have point of 40 and then 20,000, and the second point of 60 and then 15,000. So obviously y decreases. So what is our original point? 40,000, 20,000, which is our x1 and y1 value. So x1 and y1, and the other ones are x2 and our y2 values. So if I plugged it into the equation, I'm gonna get my slope. So if I were to do 15,000 minus 20,000 and then divided by 60 minus 20, I get negative 5,000 divided by 20, which equals negative 250. So our slope equals negative 250. So I have slope. What can I do now to figure out how many units are there when it's $55 per unit? Well, let's look at our x values. We see that our original x value is 40, and we're looking for the selling price when it's $15 per unit. If I were to do 55 minus 40, I get $15. Therefore, we're looking for the value of the demand. We're looking for the value of demand when x increases by 15, when it increases by $55 per unit. So I can do 15 times 250 and then subtract that by 20,000 to look for the demand when it's $55 per unit. So I can write that as 20,000. Let me restart that. So I can do this 20,000 minus parentheses negative 250, or not even, 250 times 15, and I'm gonna get 1,625. Therefore, my answer is A. Okay, let's do another question. For the linear function f, the table shows 3 values of x and their corresponding values of f of x. The function f is defined by f of x equals ax plus b, and a and b are constants. What is the value of a minus b? Well, I gotta look for my a minus b values because they're constants. It can be any number, but in this case, they're obviously regular numbers, or they're like numbers that we need to find to look for a minus b, because we have 4 answer choices. So what can we do? Well, I'm given the function f of x equals ax plus b. So f of x equals ax plus b, and our a is slope, and our b is our y-intercept. So how can I look for my slope? Well, let's do y2 minus y1 and x2 minus x1, the slope formula. As I can see, my original x value is x1, and my second value of x is x2. So that means our y1 value is negative 64, and our y2 value is 0. So I can rewrite the slope formula as 0 minus negative 64 divided by 2 minus 1, which equals, let me rewrite that, which equals positive 64 minus 1, which equals just positive 64. Therefore, my slope, or a, is 1, or 64, sorry. So I can rewrite the equation of f of x equals 64a plus b, because we still need our b value. Well, how can we look for our b value? I can plug in this case, I want to plug in 0 to look for my b value. So our x value is 0, and our y value, or our x value is 2, and our y value, or f of x, equals 0. So I can rewrite the equation when x equals 2 as 0 equals 64 multiplied by 2 plus b. I made a mistake here. This is supposed to be x, so give me one sec. That is x. I don't know why I wrote a. So I have 0 equals 64 2 plus b, and that equals 0 equals 128 plus b. All I have to do is subtract 128 on both sides to look for my b value. So if I subtract 128 on both sides, the 128s cancel out on the right side, and I'm left with b equals negative 128. And this is our b value. So we have both our a and our b value. So a equals 64, and our b value equals negative 128. And if I plug that in, I can look for the value of a minus b. So our a value is 64, and then minus our b value is negative 128. So then minus negative 128, and that'll give me the answer. Be careful. Remember, when a negative is multiplying a negative or subtraction in this example, it turns positive. So in this case, I have 64 plus 128, which equals 192, and therefore my answer is D. Careful with that. Okay, let's do another question. The table shows some values of x and their corresponding values of f of x or y. For the linear function f, what is the x-intercept of the graph y equals f of x on the x and y plane? Okay, so what am I looking for? The x-intercept of this graph, or the graph of y equals f of x on the x and y plane. So what can I do? Well, I'm given 4 x values and 4 y values. Let's do slope again to look for slope, and we can make a slope equation to look for an x-intercept, or to look for an x-intercept. So I can do 18 minus 21 divided by negative 10 minus negative 11, and I'll give me the slope for this equation, which equals negative 3 divided by positive 1, because the negative and negative 11 is multiplying the negative of the subtraction, which equals positive. So in reality, I have negative 10 plus 11, so which the slope equals negative 3. So I can write the equation right now as y equals negative 3x plus b. Now we gotta look for a b value. So let me plug in, let's do negative 11, 21 to look for my b value. So f of x or y equals 21. So 21 equals negative 3, negative 3 multiplied by negative 11 plus b. Negative 3 multiplied by negative 11 equals positive 33. So positive 33, which equals 21, and then plus b. All I have to do is subtract negative 33 on both sides. So the 33 is on the right side, cancel out, and I have b equals 21 minus 33, and b equals negative 12. Yeah, b equals negative 12. Therefore, I have the equation of y equals negative 3x minus 12. And now I gotta look for my x-intercept. So what is our x-intercept? Remember, when y equals 0. So if you make y equals 0, I have 0 equals negative 3x minus 12. And now I just solve for x. I add 12 on both sides. I get negative 3x equals positive 12. And if I divide negative 3 on both sides, I get x equals negative 4. And this is our answer, being B. Okay, let's go do the last question for today. The cost of renting a backhoe for up to 10 days is $270 for the first day and $135 each additional day. Which of the following equations gives the cost y in dollars of renting a backhoe for x days, where x is a positive integer and x is less or equal to the value of 10? So what can we do? Well, let's use the information that's given. We're given that the first day is 270 and every single additional day is 135. And we're given that which of the following gives the cost of y of renting a backhoe, which is right over here, for x days. So x equals days, where x is a positive integer and it's less or equal to 10. So what I want to do is figure out which of the following equations gives me the value of 270 the first day and $105 more every single additional day. So let's make x equals 1, because when x equals 1, our y value equals 270. So let's see which of the values correlate. If I plug in x into the first equation, I get 270 minus 135, which equals 135. Therefore, A is incorrect. And if I plug that into B, I get 270 plus 135. And that's already greater than 270. So B is incorrect. And if I do C, I get 135 plus 270. And that is still greater than 270 as well. So C is incorrect. If I plug in D, I get 135 plus 135, which equals 270 70. So the answer is D. And it's also D because we're given that it equals 135 more each additional day. And if I make x equals 2, I get 270 plus 135. And 270 is 135 times 2. So there's 2 days. So 135 times 2 plus 35. So there is every single additional day, it's 135. And D is the best representation of that. Therefore, my answer is D. This is the last question for today. Thank you for watching.